The biggest name in private equity, biggest names, are gathering at the Super Return Conference in Berlin this week, and Leslie Pickard joins us now with a special guest. Hey, Leslie.
Hey, Joe. Good morning. Yes, I am here with Jim Coulter, the TPG co-founder and executive chairman. Thank you so much for joining us from Super Return.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So this is your first time at this conference in 10 years, and the industry has changed so dramatically over the last decade, whether it's the growth in private credit, the democratization of alts, or the push toward the retail channel. Do you think that the industry has gotten better or just bigger?
Well, physically here, you can see the industry has gotten bigger. This has been an experience for me, Leslie, because when I started in the industry, you had less people in the industry than were in the line for the free ice cream here last night. We're in a hotel with hundreds of rooms where the beds have been moved out and they've been turned into meeting rooms, and they're handing out swag that say live, love, and leverage, which is, or carried interest as a tote bag. I have a mixed relationship with these conferences. I don't go to many of them because essentially they're about common wisdom. Investing is about uncommon wisdom. But you do have to stop in from time to time. And the mood here is one of scale. You don't often see the scale of the private markets, and one of diversity. Different moods, different opinions. And I think what's interesting to me is seeing the physical size and breadth of this marketplace together at this conference has been an eye-opener for me.
Yeah, you're right. You bring up a good point about groupthink versus statistically significant insights that you could get from just the 7,000 people that are here at this conference. One area of groupthink that's been talked about a lot at this conference has been, back at Davos this year, the whole U.S. exceptionalism theme was alive and well. And here we are 5 months later, and yes, we are in Berlin, in Europe, but it definitely feels like the narrative has shifted to investment opportunities in Europe, given the stimulus here, given that rates are declining, given that the valuation, there's a valuation discount to counterparts in the U.S. How do you feel about that? Do you agree with it? And do you think the pendulum will fully swing?
This is a reminder of the international nature of private markets. So if you dial back 2-3 years ago, essentially Europe froze for a period of time. It went on pause because uncertainty creates pause in private markets. We don't have to deploy, so we can wait till we get certainty. What's happened now is uncertainty has moved from Europe to the U.S. as policy issues are creating a moment where the private markets will pause in order to understand the rules. What I've always said, Leslie, about private markets is you tell us the rules, we'll play the game, but if we don't know the rules, we have to pause. So as a result, there's two areas right now where we see common wisdom picking up momentum. One is here in Europe, where I think in some ways some of the geopolitical shifts are creating a resurgence of energy and activity. And then private credit is clearly the flavor of the moment as it diversifies and gains share versus public credit.
You say it's a flavor of the moment. It seems like you're not sure whether it will be
I think it has a long way to go. If you think about private equity for 30 years has been picking up share versus the public markets. Private credit is really 10 years into that journey. And so I think there's very substantial way to go yet on that. And yet there is an underlying question of making sure that private credit and the credit cycle are friends.
Yeah, which we haven't seen, of course, yet. Speaking of cycles, you're here. You're going to be on stage with Bono in a little bit to talk about the 10-year anniversary of the Rise Fund at TPG, which focuses on climate investing. Speaking of evolutions here, there has been a huge sea change as it pertains to ESG, as it pertains to climate. I saw a conference board survey from a few days ago that found 80% of companies are reworking ESG strategies, and a large part of that is because of the federal policymakers and regulators that they're seeing a less accommodative environment for that. What does that mean for your appetite to do deals in the climate space, and what kind of challenges is it presenting?
Well, the phenomenon you talked about of the pendulum swinging back on business and social responsibility has been going on since Ralph Nader and Friedman in the 70s. Jimmy Carter put solar panels on the White House in the 70s. Ronald Reagan took them off in the 80s. So this is an ongoing debate. And what I think our strategy is you just keep doing what you're doing and keep focused on it. Climate is particularly interesting because as we travel around the world, the one place the debate seems unsettled is in the U.S. now. And in parts of the U.S., it's particularly vociferous, even while Texas becomes the largest clean energy state in the U.S. as it has. So around the world, we've announced several deals recently in Europe, in India and climate, where things are going full speed. But the U.S. market will, as I said before, about the general uncertainty, will pause as the policy gets figured out.
Taking a timeout, to borrow from your metaphor earlier.
As a timeout, but that's a good thing. That's how it's supposed to work. It reminds me very much, Leslie, of what the healthcare market felt like in 2010. Right. For a moment, everyone got very nervous about healthcare investing. The healthcare stocks went down 15%. The regulatory world was reorganized, and then they doubled over the coming years. It's interesting to me that the public market understands buy on the dip. The private market seems to forget that sometimes.
Private market thinks pause on the dip. Jim Coulter, thank you so much for taking the time out here in Berlin at Super Return. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
Okay, Leslie, thank you very much. That's our Leslie Picker.